Hey guys, Happy New Year! Welcome to 2021 and welcome back to Camp Blood Media. Josh here, and I hope you had a really fun New Year's because I know I did. Coming up this month on January 26th, we have Wrong Turn: The Foundation, which seems to either be a reboot of the franchise or a sequel to the original, kind of like what Halloween 2018 did, where it ignores Halloween 2 through Resurrection and just starts fresh. So since we have a new Wrong Turn coming, I figured I'd review all the previous Wrong Turns and also do a ranking of them. So coming up first, we have Wrong Turn, which premiered May 30th, 2003, and it was directed by Rob Schmidt and written by Alan B. McElroy, who also is the writer of the upcoming reboot/sequel. So right off the bat, the first thing I gotta say about this movie is that I love that Eliza Dushku is in it. She's Faith in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, if you guys don't know, and I absolutely love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So just having her in the movie alone is enough to keep me interested because I love that character and I love seeing her in pretty much anything she's in. And she does a really great job in this movie. It's funny, Chris, aka Desmond Harrington, is supposed to be the main character, but honestly, anytime I watch this movie or even think about this movie, I always think about Eliza Dushku, so to me, she's honestly the main character of this movie. So the movie opens up with a good shot of West Virginia and a couple rock wall climbing. It doesn't take very long before the man disappears, and the woman is sent hurtling to the ground and finds the dead body of her boyfriend. She tries to get away and almost makes it there, but trips over some barbed wire and she's dragged off into the woods to her death. I like this opening scene because it shows that the killers aren't messing around and they're just looking to kill and get it done with right away. So then we get the opening credits and it's showing flashes of mutants and telling us about how there's like deformations in the area and mutations and weird looking people and disappearances and stuff like that. And it flashes to all these different people who I guess we can presume are previous victims of these guys. Later on we'll see several car graveyards, which leads me to believe that yes, that some of the people we were seeing in the intro actually are previous victims, because judging by the amount of cars that they have piled up in these two different lots, they have killed a ton of people before this movie even started. So as the first part of the movie goes on, we meet Chris and he's stuck in a traffic jam and he wants to get to this place by 7 o'clock, so he decides to take a side road that goes around the highway supposedly. He runs into a gas station attendant at an old gas station who kind of reminds me of the attendant from The Hills Have Eyes, who's kind of like this creepy old fart who seems really suspicious but the people don't pick up on it and they just take his advice with no second thought. As he gets going down the road, he ends up smashing into the back of these other characters' vehicle. These characters are Eliza Dushku and her friends. I don't mind most of them, they're pretty much all good actors. Although there's this engaged couple who I'm kind of on the fence about. I don't mind their acting, but the female character is super annoying throughout the whole movie. Like at every possible opportunity, she's just annoying. And I don't know if they just do that so that you're like happy when she finally bites it later on, but it's definitely annoying to listen to her whining every 5 minutes about the situation they're in. When everyone else is basically calm or at least steady, she's like screaming her head off, and it's kind of a lot to deal with for like 2/3 of the movie. I like the setting as well, the woods they use for West Virginia. I'm not 100% sure if it's in West Virginia. I'll take a look at that after I film this and I'll put it up below. But it's a beautiful area. So it kind of makes me wonder why a few times in this movie they do like CGI trees. And I didn't notice it so much when I watched the movie way back in the day. I didn't even know there was any CGI in the movie besides maybe some of the kills. However, when I watched it this time, I really noticed the CGI. Like there's several times where the camera pans through the trees, or there's a time later when they're like climbing up this ladder and it shows out across the forest and shows the sunlight and stuff, and it just screams CGI. And then there's another part where the camera goes through this tree almost like a drone kind of would nowadays, except it's all CGI, and it's really jarring to go from this low budget kind of like horror movie of them running around outside in the woods and then all of a sudden, bam, CGI. So I think that was definitely a misstep on their end with this movie. They could have at least tried to do practical shots for all those because there was really nothing that they did that they had to do CGI for. So I'm not sure why they really decided to go that route. It doesn't happen that often, but the 2 or 3 times that it does happen, it really stands out. So as the movie goes on, they come across this creepy cabin in the woods and they decide to break and enter and go inside and check it out. And as they're exploring, they find body parts and evidence of previous victims and like huge sets of car keys. However, the mutants show up in their yellow truck and they all decide to hide inside the house until they have a chance to get out. This leads to a super tense scene where they're all kind of hiding in the cabin while the mutants sleep. So they all try to get up and sneak out as quietly as possible, and as they get going, they get right to the door, and one of them wakes up, so they have to take off running. It was a really fun, tense scene in the movie that you don't really get throughout the rest of the movie because it's just basically running through the woods the whole time. So eventually they stumble upon this watchtower, and as they're going up the watchtower is one of the scenes I mentioned earlier. You get a shot out over the forest, and it's supposed to be like this nice shot of the sun over the trees and stuff, but all I can see is CGI during that part. And I'm just like almost completely taken out of the movie during those points. I don't think there was any need for CGI. They could have just built a ladder and had them climb up the ladder and took the shot. Like, I don't know why they needed to CGI it. So the mutants eventually find them because of the radio call, and they start burning down the tower to get them out of there because there's no other way for the mutants to get access to them. So the people decide to jump from the window into the nearby trees, and somehow it actually works out for them. So they end up lollygagging for a bit, and they take too long to get out of the trees, and the annoying girlfriend bites it so hard. Three Finger comes up behind her and chops half of her head off right at the mouth. It's probably the best kill in the whole movie because you see the axe come right into her mouth and split her head, and then her body falls down and hits all the branches on the way down, and then her head is still sitting there on top of the axe, and he pulls the axe out and that falls too. Like, such a great death for such a friggin' annoying character. Like I said before, I think they made her so annoying so that her death would be super satisfying when she finally died, but I'm not sure if the ends justified the means because she was one of the most annoying movie characters I've had to sit through. Now, I definitely have a lot of fun when I watch this movie. Eliza Dushku has a great performance throughout the whole movie. The only thing I really didn't like about her character is that she basically becomes a damsel in distress for like 10 minutes or so towards the end. Like, she's trapped in the bed and she would have died had Chris not been there. So I guess that kind of makes Chris the main character, but I still want to think of Faith as the main character in this movie. Desmond Harrington also does a great job acting in this movie. I liked him already from Ghost Ship, which is a really awesome movie with one of the best opening scenes of all time in horror. They end up leaving and going back to the gas station from the beginning, and the creepy attendant is there, like, shocked out of his mind. He can't believe that they're still alive. It almost makes me wonder if he's part of the Foundation from the new movie. I know this movie had no idea that there was going to be a sequel set so many years later, so they obviously didn't prepare for it. But it'd be cool if they like retroactively explain that this guy was part of the Foundation and he sends people off into the woods to get killed so that the Foundation has people to eat and they survive, kind of thing. Because there are a lot of cars in that car graveyard, so there had to have been a ton of people killed before this. So they take the gas station map so no one else can get lost, and they head off to find the police. Because we get a quick pre-credit screen of one of the cops going to the cabin to find the dead bodies of the mutants, and as he's leaning over checking out the burnt remains, who comes up behind him but Three Finger with an axe. The awesome mutant Three Finger is played by Julian Richings, who some of you might recognize as Death from the Supernatural TV show. I think they did a really good job with the makeup for the mutants in this movie as well. It kind of reminds me of Leatherface's actual face from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, when he finally removes the skin mask and you kind of get to see his all deformed face. They definitely heavily give me that vibe, and it's kind of funny because those two movies actually came out in the same year. The visual effects for all the dead bodies and the gore were actually really good. All the scenes where it showed everybody dead or being chopped up and ripped apart were really great and did look real. The two stoner characters were fun. Kevin Zegers, if you don't recognize him, is from the Air Bud movies and also from Dawn of the Dead 2004, which is a great horror movie. And then we have Lindy Booth, who was also in Dawn of the Dead 2004, and in a fun little movie called Cry Wolf from 2005, which you should definitely check out if you haven't seen it. They didn't last very long in the movie, and Kevin died off screen, so he gets the worst death in the movie for sure. She actually had a really great death with the barbed wire, but at the same time, you didn't get to see that much of it. She just kind of got grabbed by the barbed wire, and then later on you saw her dead, so they didn't really do as well as they could have with that. The setting in West Virginia is awesome. All of the times when they're actually running through the woods and trying to get away from the mutants and them getting killed and stuff, like, that's all really great. It's a lot of fun. The kills are really good. All of the characters are honestly pretty good. There's not really a bad actor in the whole movie. If you're a little bit of a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I would say also watch this movie because you get a lot of Eliza Dushku in this movie, and I know that some people aren't necessarily the biggest fan of Faith's character in Buffy, but I think she did an amazing job portraying Faith, and she does a really good job in this movie as well. One thing I would say negative about the plot of the movie is how the hell are so many people going missing in this area and nobody has caught on to it? In both car graveyards, there had to have been like 20, 30, 40 cars combined, so it's like, How are all of these people going missing in this area, especially the police, and nobody's catching on to it? And it doesn't seem like the killers are that far off the main road, because he literally turns off the main road, finds the gas station, crashes into the other people, and boom, the killers are right there. So I don't know how logistically this would work out with a group of cannibal killers murdering people all the time and just nobody ever notices. That's kind of a little bit silly, but maybe there's an explanation regarding the foundation that we might get in the movie coming up on January 26th. So I guess we'll have to wait and see until then. I know that the sequels of this tend to be a little CGI heavy with some of the gore, so I'm kind of not looking forward to that as I review the other movies, but I'm still excited to check them out because it's been a long time since I've seen any of them. And I'm wondering how they compare to the original, because I remember the original being far and away the best, but I guess we'll see as we continue the reviews. So I didn't give a rating for the previous movies I reviewed, but I'm going to start doing it from now on. I'm going to give Wrong Turn 2003 3.5 severed Pamela heads out of 5. And if you're confused about that, I'm going to be doing my rating system with severed Pamela heads. I thought it would be kind of a fun way to do the ratings. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed my Wrong Turn review. If you did, please like the video down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe because it really helps out the channel. I've got 5 more reviews coming this month, so stay tuned for them. I'm excited to jump into the other Wrong Turn movies. 6 technically, because I guess I'll be reviewing the new one when that comes out as well. Alright guys, till the next one, have a good one.